Last time we worked on a sponsored video with Dyson, you guys complained that a vacuum had nothing to do with building PCs. So we took all your feedback, and this time around, we built the Dysonator. The first gaming PC that also cools down the gamer. It's a cooling fan, it's a heater, it's an air purifier, and it's a noob fragging monster. And thanks to Dyson, I'm gonna show you guys how we built it. When we began this project, the goal was to put everything inside the Dyson Hot Cool purifier. Why? Well, because it seemed like a really cool way to hide a PC. And I think we can all agree gamers need cooling and probably an air purifier. It seemed possible at first, since all of the big PC parts do actually fit in this open area inside the unit. And an extra neat thing about this idea is that the PC would sit directly in the path of the purifier's intake, cooling down our hardware. But once we got into the finicky bits, like routing cables, making sure that our adapters fit, and trying to avoid cooking our Latte Panda Alpha single board computer on the 1500 watt heating element, it quickly became apparent that without sacrificing major functionality, like the 350-degree oscillation, the tilt, or the HEPA filter effectiveness, we simply weren't going to be able to do it. Thankfully, there's always a plan B. So we kept the spirit of the idea, stealthily integrating a PC into your living area, and we also managed to get a nice boost to performance. So this new design moves the PC from inside the purifier to, well, underneath it. And hold on, wait, I know that's probably been done before, but this is different because we completely 3D printed our own case for the first time, so it ended up being a bit of an adventure. As a starting point, we pulled out the desktop that fits in your palm from that video we did a while ago and got rid of its outer casing. Because of its mini STX form factor, it could easily fit under the Dyson without any adapters and with excellent clearance for its cooling fans. But putting square components in round enclosures still comes with its share of challenges. We wanted the finished product to be as stealthy as possible, so we simply extended the base so that we could stay true to the design language that Dyson originally used and only raised the profile of the cooler by about 4 inches. The saying, measure twice, cut once, definitely rang true for us here, except it was more like measure 4 times and print once for us because we 3D printed the case. As a side note, the remote for this thing is super handy and stays on top with magnets. We wanted the case to be usable, not just a one and done for the video, so it was designed to have the bottom come off, revealing all the components inside. We settled on 4 of these little tiny Noctua 40mm fans in a push-pull configuration to help with dissipating the heat from the computer. The fan grills were designed in such a way that from most angles, you wouldn't be able to see the fan blade spinning at all, but they still allow more than enough airflow and make sure that the fresh air is moving directly across our heat sinks. The last bit we had to figure out was our I/O shield. We ended up going with a custom one that still allows access to most of the I/O while minimizing the footprint of a cutout. When it came time to print though, we ran into a bit of a problem. The build plate of our Ultimaker 3 just isn't big enough. Now we could have cut up the model and printed in chunks and then reassembled them once we were done, but that could have compromised the strength of the pedestal. And as you can see guys, right now, it's actually quite strong. It doesn't move around at all. And besides, more points of failure is just generally bad. So we looked around for a local company to print this for us, but it would have cost between $500 and $1,000 to get it done. No bueno, although it would have looked pretty cool in carbon fiber. Luckily, I have great employees, snuck that in there, I like that have a printer at home that can handle the task. With nearly 4 days of print time for these bits, any mistake would have been costly, and thankfully, we only had one, and at least we ended up with this wonderful, $20 worth of filament dinner plate. Yeah, thank you very much for that. By the way, if you guys like fabrication projects, we have a really cool one coming for a Sub-Zero CPU cooler. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Man, 3D printed stuff is ugly out of the gate, isn't it? So it's sand, fill, and repeat till it's smooth as a baby's bottom. Throughout this part of the process, Nicholas actually used the Dyson to push air while painting and priming. Doing so cuts down on overspray on the parts. And then white paint came on, a few coats will do us, plus a clear coat to protect, and then in between the coats, using it as a heater to speed up the drying process. Handy, right? Now, just to be clear, the Dyson Pure Hot Cool is not meant to be a shop fan. These filters are designed for lighter home use, but for like, you know, a couple hours, it actually worked out pretty great. So now it's time to try it out, isn't it? I gotta give you credit. It's very stealthy. All right, turn on my gamer cooling. Oh my God, it's one of those SilverStone. You know, I gave them such a hard time about this thing when they first launched. I was like, who needs that? Someone who buries their power switch inside the computer. Perfect. All right, let's power this sucker up. That is hilarious. Ah, come on. You'll probably notice we haven't talked a ton about the hardware we're using. It's actually based on an older machine that we already had, so it's only a 7th gen Core i7 processor, but the 7700K is still a very competent gaming chip, and our GTX 1080 should be more than enough for a decent living room gaming experience. And all without thermals that are going to overwhelm our poor little 40mm fans over there. So we're actually running a Blender render in the background right now, and you can see that in the reduced turbo profile that this board actually comes with, we have not even reached 80 degrees, so I am pretty darn comfortable with those temps. Now let's switch over to some gaming, so I'm just gonna focus the airflow on myself, crank it up a little bit. You need that cooling. One of the really cool features of this is that it can direct the airflow, creating a strong breeze even really far away. Or if you don't like that, you can put it in a backflow mode so that it'll just clean the room without blowing on you. What can it do, Max? Not bad, not bad at all. Too much for now. In the summer, that's fine though. Wait, are they still going? Are they still alive? Oh, there we go. Yeah, MVP! Well, the good news, Nicholas, is that the computer is very stealthy until we actually start gaming on it. So that's like 1/3 of the battle. Another fun fact, we found out why the Pure Hot Cool is rather on the pricey side for what kind of looks like a fan. It's actually got an air purification and air quality testing system built into it that is pretty fancy. So check this out. You just press the I button and it actually gives you this neato little informational graphic of what the air quality is like. And you can look at things like pollen and VOCs. And our building alarm just went off. I thought it was an air quality emergency. I was like, oh no, what did we do? In addition to that, it can also heat the air that's coming through it. I mean, that ended up being one of the problems we ran into because we couldn't put a PC right next to a heating element, but hey, if you're not trying to build a computer in it, that's great. It also has a companion app and Alexa integration, so you can, well, I think that's fairly self-explanatory. Use Alexa to adjust your purifier. Look at this, I'm the MVP 4 times, sucker. So there you have it. Neither the PC nor the fan are as small as they were on their own, but hey, at least the computer is stealthier, and that's the whole point of the build, to have our computer blend in with its surroundings more than it would if it was, you know, your classic black or beige box. Would we recommend doing it this way? Well, I mean, I guess if you or your significant other has a strict aesthetic that you want to stick to, but you still want a game, that might not be a terrible idea. As long as you happen to have a Dyson Pure Hot Cool, or you're planning to get one, which you will of course be able to do at the link in the video description. And we're gonna have the print files for the base here down there as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and thanks again to Dyson for sponsoring this build. We had a lot of fun with this one. Looking at this like fan design, I'm like, you reinvented fans.